everyone. Welcome all. Hello, party people. Another episode of the Grunge Bible Podcast. My name is Ethan Shalloway. I'm joined by Chris Salona. This is episode 264. Sorry, a little
264.
264 of the Grunge Bible
Welcome
Podcast.
one, welcome all, welcome short, welcome tall.
Is that a saying?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I like
it is now, damn it.
Welcome short, welcome tall. That's great. We are happy to be here. Another episode, another day above dirt, as some people say.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Monday on the pod, but it is Saturday in our world. We're recording this a few days early. We got a beautiful weekend here. A lot of, spring is just springing, Chris. Things are going, things are happening. Like things are pumping up. There's a lot of excitement going.
We have about probably like 5 to 6 more weeks of podcasts where we're gonna just gush about the weather at the top of the episode. We're entering the prime of that right now. It's in the 60s. It's sunny, and it's just a great time to be outside. It's hard to be in a bad mood.
Had the morning coffee sitting outside, looking at the sun coming up and stuff.
Absolutely.
Great. Big things happening in the track world, Chris, too. The track season is kicking up, and Curtis, my training partner, he threw 85 in Ramona.
CT, dude, everybody, American record in the discus in Ramona, too. Sam Mattis, right?
Threw the American record in discus, which was held for 35
Really
years.
Quick, not that the listeners are care.
They might.
What do you think about Ramona? What do you think about this? So basically, to set the scene, this is in Oklahoma, and it's a training center. Is that correct, Ethan? There's a training center for long throws, and
it's just a facility. There's a training. It is for high school. Yeah, high school.
It's basically like a wind tunnel, though, so you can go and throw, and you throw your implements up in the air, and the wind is always gusting, and it seems to help a little bit.
It helps a lot. There's some massive PRs. Like if you're on the verge, if you're like 59 or something with a 9 and you want to break through, you go there to get your extra few meters.
Yeah.
This is definitely a topic the last few years because the world record was broken in the men's disc. Get a bunch of national records, a bunch of. Now we have.
This is the place where it happens all the time.
The record books are going to be filled with this location, no doubt. Oh man, it's a hot topic. I have a lot of opinions, but
might be a Patreon special.
It is the best way to put. It's like when they added the 3-point line, and then all the
all the scoring records went down.
All the scoring records are gonna be broken. So they've been chasing wind and discus forever. This is how it goes. People used to go to Hawaii. They always go to California. Like you chase the wind.
Right.
It's like that is what you do. And the record was always juiced up because of this, literally and figuratively, both by wind and also, drug-induced throwers.
Anabolic steroids.
Yeah. So the record was, there's been asterisks next to certain people over the years, and it feels kind of good to get some new names up there. And my biggest
different types of asterisks.
My biggest thing is, like I said, chasing the wind is fine. The problem is they go up there and they compete 5 different times in a week or 2 weeks. They get a ton of competitions. I would love if there would be a limit, and you have one, and that one is today, right? They have a silver level meet or a bronze level meet, so it's sanctioned, and it's everybody's coming to compete in this competition, but there's also a few other competitions that people go and still throw. So I wish it was one. You got one shot. You get to take advantage of the wind. You still need to throw well,
right?
So it's not like a gimme. Things just don't just go 72 meters in the discus. So I wish that it was a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Zoomed, you only had one shot.
Truncated opportunity as opposed to just
you had one opportunity,
burning all your ammo in Ramona.
Exactly. I think it's great for the sport. Like last year, people were talking about discus. People talk about discus now. It's very not that they didn't before, but it is way more in the headline for track and field.
Yeah,
which is cool. Any publicity for track and field is great. So it's good for the sport. Everybody likes to see the discus go far. So
it's cool to watch things go far.
It should be like the home for the enhanced games.
Yeah, seriously,
it's a whole other conversation. So
that's a whole other conversation. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Congrats to Kurt, 85. That's big time. And,
almost the world lead. Almost.
Yeah, closing in. Aside from that, how are you? How are we doing?
Aside from that, I'm doing well, man. Yeah, just nice. Had a good week. Work of week. week of work, and I'm hoping to have a good weekend of chilling. And I got track meet, I'm coaching, just being outside and hanging with people. So yeah, it's gonna be really nice. So
Excellent. That's
yeah,
good stuff.
I can't complain.
No, great.
How about you, man?
I'm good. It was a busy week. We're, as you said, this is Saturday morning on the 11th. Last night I had probably the longest and most challenging lift that I've had in a really long time. So I'm feeling it this morning because I had a bunch of caffeine beforehand, so I didn't sleep great. I'm tired. I'm sore. All that kind of stuff. But
Johannes is proud.
yeah, Alan Johannes is proud of me, but we're definitely gonna be referencing him on this episode. But things are good. I went to a concert on Wednesday night in Boston. I'm going to a concert on Sunday, a concert on Tuesday, and a concert on Wednesday. And yes, they are all for the same goddamn band.
Anybody can guess the band that he's going to
see? Surprise, surprise! I'm seeing 4 Wonder Years shows in a week. In my defense, they said this is the last time they're going to be touring for a while, so I got to get my
take my money.
Reps in. Exactly. Take all of my money, please. I'm
my paycheck.
I'm spending money. Yeah, I might as well just change my direct deposit for my employer and just give it to them. But it'll be good. I'm going to drive down to Philadelphia on the 12th, the day before this episode comes out, and stay with Eddie Vedder through my second divorce. We're going to try to go on a little bit of a heater, taking a little sabbatical from work a little bit, but not work a lot of bit. And it'll be pretty good, but I'm looking forward to a good day. We're going to start it off right now, talking about Queens of the Stone Age's album, Songs for the Deaf, which is an absolute powerhouse, which we are all well acquainted with. Second time on the show that we've dedicated an episode to Queens of the Stone Age. Ethan, we were reborn live in the catacombs, I believe last fall or last summer, something like that. So be good to kind of get into their proper discography now. It's been a long time coming. We've paid our dues, we've done our research, and we've spent a lot of time with this band. So it'd be a good one to talk about. But before we do that, I would like to thank some individuals that make this podcast possible and make these conversations possible. Thank you to everybody who listens, subscribes, follows, shares it with a friend, interacts with us. Thank you to anybody that has purchased merchandise from the link in our show notes. And thank you to everybody who has ever become a member of Patreon, particularly the members of the top tier. You can join at a $2, $5, or $10 tier, $10 at the top, or you can give at any monetary amount that you're comfortable with that's sustainable for you. All of that money goes towards putting this show on. And I would like to thank the top tier members of our Patreon, starting with Abraham and Frank and the Cracker Man. I would also like to thank Fuck Soup, who just got back in the game last week. I'd like to thank the Blue Owl, Jamie Lynn, Carlene Salona, Doug Endy, What the Fuck is Up, Denny's, Nikki Six, Black Hole Sean, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce, Sherry Matthews, Gochu John, Russell, King Buzzo Stole My Hair, The Michael Dooley Project, A Bit Dusty, Ultra Mega OK, Heidi in Chains, Chris Buckley, and Looking California, Feeling Minnesota. So thanks everybody. And in addition to that, recently we received another review of the podcast. Somebody wrote on an Apple Podcast review a couple weeks ago, and they said, really enjoyed the No Code episode. Just think you should include clips of songs if you're going to do an album review. Didn't want that to affect the star rating I gave you, though. They did give us 5 stars. Really appreciate the fact that you guys are so into grunge, and most of the music came out before you were born. And that's fantastic. Thanks for listening. We got a lot of good feedback about that episode, in addition to the Siamese Dream episode, which we did last week. And I would love to include song clips in this, but in terms of rights holders and copyright, that would be a little bit of an issue for us because we don't own the rights and we don't have the money to license those clips from the rights holders. So just have to use your imagination, I suppose. So I'd love to be able to do that at some point. Yeah, exactly. Right. So first it giveth and then it taketh away, as we'll talk about on the Queens of the Stone Age record that we're going to be talking about today. So
when this thing blows up, we don't want to give any of the big corporations a reason to take a hold of it.
Yeah, exactly.
They have a little snippet.
Yeah. Well, then when we find ourselves, just completely overflowing with fortune and fame, then we'll license the clips and we'll just do every podcast episode over again. So that's why you have to join the Patreon. That's why you have to listen, and that's why you have to share this show with your music people in your life, so we can do that.
Then we can do Chris and Ethan listen to blank album for the first time and react live.
And do those like really stupid fucking Mr. Beast thumbnails where like we're just like with our mouths open, just absolute slop bullshit that I hate.
I will never partake in those
Me neither,
thumbnails,
man.
dude.
No.
That's where YouTube has failed me.
If you came to me one day and was like, "Hey, I think I know what we can do to take it to the next level," and it
let's
was
get an
lean into that,
illustrator.
I
Let's
would
get
leave the
somebody
podcast.
oh, dude, like, I hate it.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I don't want to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
story for another time.
But thank you for the review. I was gonna propose that right now the podcast is doing pretty well, and that's thanks to you guys listening. So continue to interact, whether that be sharing, following, or leaving a review.
Or hate listening too. That works.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I was hoping for a bad review,
Yeah, we're due for one of those.
I mean, people like hearing, I like reading the bad reviews and making opinions on, what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yes, if you guys do interact with it, that obviously helps. Like somehow, the algorithm works in mysterious ways. So just, hop on there and do something. And like I said, it always helps, and it's going well right now. So let's just let's keep throwing throw money at the problem. Let's keep throwing coal in the fire.
Always, you just gotta throw money at the problem.
And if you're so if you want to become a Patreon member, just throw money at the problem. We are the problem.
The problem might go away. All right, Ethan, let's get into this day in music for April 13th. There's a pairing of birthdays that I'll just knock out right at the top here. On April 13th of 1951, the mighty Max Weinberg was born, who is the drummer for the E Street Band. He's been the drummer for Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band since like 1974 or something. Really, really talented drummer. I mean, they still play. They're touring right now. They're playing 3-hour shows, and it's unbelievably impressive for Bruce to do what he does at the front and be as charismatic and energetic. But I always think about Max Weinberg, 51, he'll be 75 today, and he's still crushing it back there. And when he auditioned for the E Street Band, one of the songs that Bruce had him play was "The Weight" by the band. So this guy's the man. So happy birthday to the mighty Max Weinberg. Also happy birthday, turning 65 today, the original Soundgarden bassist Hiro Yamamoto was born on this day in 1961, and he reunited with the band when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame relatively recently. So he's a great guy. He's a humanitarian, and he was there when it happened. And without him, the music landscape that we love would certainly look a little different. So happy birthday, Hiro.
Amen. Speaking of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, dude, there's some really the early nominations for this year are some really weird ones. Obviously, you have some stuff that makes sense, like Iron Maiden, Oasis, Phil Collins. But
Right.
dude, Mariah Carey and Wu-Tang Clan are both like nominees.
Are they in the running to be nominated? Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if Mariah Carey fits the rock and roll.
Mariah, I don't know. That might be a bridge too far.
In the Wu-Tang Clan, I mean, I love the Wu-Tang Clan, but I kind of
I
don't know if that makes sense, but not
very,
here nor there.
Very wide-ranging definition of rock these days.
Yeah, well,
that's
our episode's coming out.
Hey, Big Tent, yeah. Our outrage episode will be coming.
Even
1965, take it down here. This is your favorite topic right here.
Yeah, oh yeah, my favorite. We're wrapping up, bands I love and award shows I love. The Beatles win their first Grammy, taking Best New Artist and Best Performance by a Vocal Group for A Hard Day's Night. 1965. First, Grammys are rolling, and the Beatles are winning. So, Best New Artist. That's kind of cool. I mean, back when they were getting going.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, moving forward 2 years, we have another birthday. On this day in 1967, guitarist Mark Ford was born, longtime member of the Black Crowes, really, really talented guy. I think the best eras of the Black Crowes have been the ones when Mark Ford has been involved, playing guitar alongside Rich Robinson, excuse me. And he's really good. I saw him live. He played back before the Crowes got back together. Mark Ford was in a band called the Magpie Salute with Rich Robinson, and I saw them play in Iowa, and they were pretty solid. So he's really, really talented, and happy birthday to him.
Awesome. Moving to 1974, Elton John's Benny and the Jets hits #1 in America. And Chris, I love this song.
Oh,
yeah. One of those songs that when I heard as a kid, I was like, this is so cool. Like,
yeah,
I was
really cool.
It was so freaking cool. When I don't know why, it just like got that, earworm kind of thing where you just like listen, you just like, kind of grooving, dude. It is a great
I
song.
gotta
No
tell you,
surprise that it was number one.
if you want to give like a good litmus test for like the rock heads in your life that are into like some hard stuff, play some Elton John, because I think the real ones have an appreciation for Elton John.
Yeah, he's heavier than you think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he really take it down. Let's move forward to 1999. On this day in that year, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers released their album Echo, which I think is up there with among the best stuff that they did. A lot of this record was written about Tom Petty was going through a divorce. Howie Epstein, who was their bassist, was struggling with addiction and ended up getting kicked out of the band. This was his last appearance, and actually the album artwork is a picture of the Heartbreakers, and Howie is not on the album artwork because he missed the shoot because of a lot of the issues he was dealing with, and the writing was on the wall. But so many great songs on this one. Room at the Top's a beautiful song. Free Girl Now, Swingin' is really, really great. Echo as well. No More, About to Give Out. It's a really, really, really good album. So might have to post some of that on the when this episode comes out. I like posting Room at the Top. Eddie Vedder does a really good performance of that song as well.
All right, and the final event in 2013, sadly, we lost Deftones bassist Chi Chang at age 42. He joined the band in 1990, so he was there for
quite a while.
Time. Yeah, and he died in a brutal car crash, I believe. And
yeah, he had a car. I think the accident was in 2008, and then he just had massive complications from it, and then ended up succumbing to them. But there's been such a resurgence. Obviously, Deftones just released Private Music, that album last year, but the kids are into Deftones these days, which is really cool. And his legacy is carried forward with everything that they continue to do, and any new set of ears that finds their way to their music is paying tribute to the great Chi Chang. So rest in peace.
Rest in peace for sure. So that wraps up this day in music. Yeah, a lot of good things, and that takes us to the main portion of the episode. We're going to talk about Queens of the Stone Age, formally for the first time. And this is exciting. This is a band. I know, Chris, you've seen them once or twice?
I've seen them twice. Yeah, I've seen them in 2023 and then in 2025. And unbelievably great show. These guys are pros. I think they're, for 21st century in terms of longevity, I think they're one of the best touring bands that you can see, one of the best rock shows that you can see, and I think they're pretty big standard bearers, and such prolific output as well, and some of the most talented people in the world have filtered their way through this band, and I think one of the golden ages of this band is the Songs for the Deaf record, which we're going to talk about. So let's get into it here. This record was released on August 27th of 2002 on Interscope Records. It was their third studio album, the first two being self-titled and then the Rated R album. And if there's one thing you know about Queens of the Stone Age, it's that they kind of employ a ensemble cast type approach. And Josh Homme's talked about this all the time, where people come into the band, they contribute for a while and they filter out, and people always end up coming back, different people come in, and it's just a really, really cool approach that there's never been, certainly for the lifetime of the band, there's never been a set crew, so to speak. For everybody that's into the superhero Marvel Cinematic Universe, I raise you the Queen's Cinematic Universe, just with everything that's going on, all the fingerprints that are on this band. But I would say that this era, particularly Rated R and then Songs for the Deaf, is such a great era for this band. The personnel on this record is really, really impressive. A couple of notes here, at this time, the main members of the band were Josh Homme, Nick Oliveri, the bassist, Dave Grohl on drums, and then Mark Lanigan. This was, his most involved era with Queens of the Stone Age. And then, just a massive list of additional contributors to this record. You had Gene Troutman, who was the drummer prior to Dave Grohl. He ended up leaving during the recording sessions for this, and then Dave Grohl entered. Dean Ween makes an appearance as well, and then Alan Johannes and Natasha Schneider began their association with Queens of the Stone Age around this time as well. So just a lot of people coming in and out. And then also once you got into the touring, the tour for this album, that's when Joey Castillo and Troy Van Leeuwen ended up coming into this group as well. And Troy is still with the band; he's still playing with them. And Joey Castillo had a very great run behind the kit as well. So this was Nick Oliveri's final contribution to Queens of the Stone Age. He ended up being fired from the band after the tour. This was Mark Lanegan's first as a full member of Queens of the Stone Age. He had a couple guest spots on Rated R. I think most notably the song "In the Fade," which is a favorite of mine, and a really, really interesting background for this one. Josh Homme, obviously, from the time he was a teenager, basically was involved with Kyuss, and then he was a touring member of Screaming Trees, and that's how he met Mark Lanegan. And the Queens of the Stone Age thing gets going, and I think this is the record that they really kind of, broke through, so to speak, into the public consciousness, outside of like the stoner rock circles, and creating some things that were some pretty big hits, and kind of found their way to linear radio. This record was recorded from October 2001 into June of 2002, so a pretty solid stretch here. And speaking to the vastness of the Josh Homme universe, a lot of these songs ended up coming from another project that Josh did prior to this called the Desert Sessions. Really interesting stuff there, and a lot of these songs resurfaced for Songs for the Deaf, and maybe were kind of reworked a little bit. And, with a band that goes in so many directions and has so many people around, the beginning of this project, it was not necessarily the most defined entity in terms of where it was going to go and what it was going to sound like. And the record label Interscope actually they were having a little bit of an issue with the lack of direction for this project and maybe the time that it was taking. And Josh ended up saying, they needed to kind of get on the same page and commit to their vision and find what their vision was. And he said to other people, there seemed to be a lot riding on this record, and they ended up standing in our way while trying to help. Our main thing we had to overcome was the other people that were not involved with us and sort of pushing them to the side, whether gracefully or violently. And sometimes, Ethan, you just have to do what you have to do, and they were able to do it. And, kind of in the middle of this recording session, as I mentioned, Gene Troutman, who was the drummer prior to Dave Grohl's involvement, he ended up leaving the band, and there's a lot of really, really good recollections of how Dave got involved with this band. And according to Josh, he said, I called Dave and said, do you want to finish this record? And Dave said, I'm in Malibu. I'll be there at 6:00. And Dave just ripped. And Dave, had known Josh for a while, and, they'd kind of run in the same circles on the touring circuit. And Dave said, we had Queens of the Stone Age on tour with us with Foo Fighters for a really long time in 2000. Instead of putting Queens of the Stone Age on their dressing room door, we used to put Critics' Choice because they were the coolest band in the world, and honestly, we thought that too. So in 2000, as we were touring with Queens, someone asked me what my biggest regret of the year was, and I said that it was that I didn't get asked to play on Rated R. So then time goes on, and Dave recollects, and he said, Josh said, dude, if you want to play a couple of songs, you can come on over. And then that day, I was driving up the Pacific Coast Highway going to the beach, and he called and said, do you want to play on the whole record? Dave went on to say that Josh and I have a connection musically that I just don't have with anybody else as a drummer. Playing with him, we share this frequency that I haven't shared with anyone else. It's intangible and unspoken, almost like ESP. I made a U-turn and went straight to the studio, and we recorded the drums in like 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. And Dave had actually taken the stage with Queens of the Stone Age once before, and he said, I did a one-off show with Queens at the Troubadour in 2000, and we walked off stage, and Mark Lanegan said, and this was one of the few things that Mark Lanegan ever said to me, and he said, it would be a shame to just do that only once. My decision was purely musical and motivational. So that's the process that Dave Grohl came in. And it's kind of interesting, too, because Dave had been doing the Foo Fighters thing. By '02, he'd been doing the Foo Fighters thing for 7 years. And I think a lot of people began to know him as the Foo Fighters guy and not the drummer in Nirvana. And his performance on this record, Ethan, if there had ever been any doubt whether Dave had lost his fastball behind the kit in those 7 years, it was completely put to rest. And I would honestly say this might be some of the best drumming of Dave's entire career.
100%. Oh yeah, and he's always been a rocker, and the earlier Foo stuff. I mean, I feel like his songwriting obviously progressed, and
it's changed a lot. Yeah,
it's changed a lot, and he has heavier stints, and I think like he loved joining up and playing drums for this and being able to rip like. And yeah, dude, there's some awesome bits. I mean, this is a pretty hardcore record.
It is
stoner rock record. There's a lot of just awesome stuff, and it's really special that Dave is the drummer for this. It's so cool. Yeah, and so this is like it's a super group of sorts. We're talking about you know what that does for artists, and it's funny because when I first found out about them, I was kind of like it was kind of hard for me to get into them
Sure.
because it was a super group. I felt like I was like, oh man, like I feel like I need to go do my time with Caius or do my time with the Foo Fighters
Even
more.
Screaming Trees or,
Screaming Tree.
anything
Yeah,
like
like
that.
you get these like a bunch of people join together and like it almost feels like I'm cheating, like listening to it and
Right.
enjoying it. So like I kind of was, and I wasn't a huge stoner rock guy. Like I've definitely grown into that. I think you have too, right?
I totally
There's
have.
yeah, there are certain things where like I like the heavier stuff, but kind of the I don't know, melodic and like just heavy kind of moving through. Yeah. It just it just took me a little bit, but now it's such a treat to look back at this list and be like, wow, yeah, Dave drummed the whole thing. And Mark Lanigan, oh my gosh, he sings on, three or
Yeah.
four songs or he's in on like a lot of it. And it's so cool. Like I love like Hanging Tree is such an
Hmm.
awesome song. And like you got it's Lanigan and it's so cool him singing. And so like it's one of those things that I've kind of gone back and been like, all right, these like I'm so glad these records and this band is here and they're still playing, right? And
Oh yeah.
they're still ripping and whatnot, so that's really special because, I have a feeling I think I think this is their last kinda go around and stuff, and, Dave's not gonna be done playing music, so I think,
He's always gonna
there's gonna be
play.
opportunities, seeing him on drums with different outfits or whatnot, and
Yeah.
so who
I would have
knows?
loved to have seen this era. I just posted. There's an incredibly. I forget which festival it was from, but it was from summer of 2002, and this was before Dave departed the band, kind of in the middle of the touring of this record. But there's one famous festival show where they play "Song for the Dead," and it's like the quintessential live version. And I posted it a couple weeks ago, and somebody commented, and they said, I was lucky enough to see Queens while Dave was still touring with them for this record, and he said, simply put, they were unfuckwithable. And I think that's the perfect way to describe Queens of the Stone Age. And like you said too, there's so many different people with, just absolute professional musicians coming together, and Dave speaking to his motivations being purely musical. I think that's the through line with this band. There's so many people from so many different backgrounds, so many different kinds of music, and there's people that were kind of the CEOs of their band, and they called the shots in their
Right.
band, and they come to Queens of the Stone Age and they're totally cool with just playing a contributing part. Like Mark Lanigan having been the front man for Screaming Trees for such a long time, and he comes in and he's only contributing to a handful of songs on a record, and when you see him live he might only sing 2 or 3 times, and it's just kind of one of those things where if it can work, you have people that are supremely talented like that checking their egos at the door and just contributing to a project like this is really, really cool. And there's not anything really else like that, I don't think, in the music world, certainly in recent music history amongst the prominent bands. And it's funny too, because Queens of the Stone Age, if you had to kind of put one genre archetype on them, you would say stoner rock. But this record and most of what they do, it's so much more diverse than that. And I think that was kind of an issue that they had in terms of getting direction down for this record. It's like, how do we make all of these cohesive sounds fit together on one record? And kind of the catalyst for this, that got everything to fall into line and gave these sessions and gave this project direction, was the idea to kind of make it a little bit of a concept album. And as you listen to this, so many songs are kind of broken up by these radio DJ transmissions, and Josh had the idea to present this record as a selection of songs that you would tap into while you're driving on a road trip from Los Angeles to Joshua Tree, something that Josh Homme had done so many times. And he spoke about that idea. And he said, when I do it, I didn't have a stereo. All I had was the radio. And it goes into weird religious stations in really bad music on that trip through the middle of nowhere. I used to really enjoy the silence. And then every once in a while, the station you were at would all of a sudden let out a screech and become a news station. I just wanted to bring that to a record somehow. It's kind of a concept record, but as if the word concept didn't suck. And like, I immediately am reminiscing on Pink Floyd's The Wall, which kind of employs a similar similar style to generate a concept album with, just kind of interludes that aren't musical. But, there's one of those things, if you can pull it off, it's really, really interesting and it's really cool. And they were able to pull it off. Nick Oliveri also spoke about the recording and kind of what they decided to do with, making it a concept album with these DJs. And he said, our recording was good. We just finished the new record, which is kind of a concept record that has the radio flipping between songs like the dial on a radio. And we have different DJs. I don't mean scratching DJs. I mean DJs talking, announcing songs, and just kind of talking shit about how a lot of the stations play the same thing over and over. We're just taking a chance, having a good time. We don't get played on the radio, so I figured we would talk shit about them. And it's kind of ironic because of a lot of these songs ended up breaking through onto the radio. Like No One Knows in particular, I think, and Go With The Flow are radio hits these days. And even, if a DJ wants to, have a little bit more length to it, you can hear Song for the Dead on the radio, or even First to Giveth or Hanging Tree. It's kind of funny. The thing that they were critiquing is what welcomed them into that sort of club.
Yeah, it is really funny. And it's a decent. I mean, do you like that idea or that concept that they used?
I think it's really cool because it almost forces you to listen to the record front to back in order. When you present all of the songs together, as most records do, but this one particularly because of that, the presence of these kind of radio hits in between, it elevates everything around it and it makes it cohesive. And I think it's a perfect way to kind of put these songs together because a lot of them don't sound anything like their counterparts on this record. So I'm into it for sure. What do you think about it? Are you into it?
Yeah, it's funny. The other day I put it on to listen. We were doing a job, and once the homeowners left, I had some Delicate Steve on before, which
always.
My boss is like, "What are we getting high?" On the job. And I'm like,
you smoking the ganja?
Yeah, it's just he always accuses me of being high. Like, he knows I'm not. So I'm like, I was like, once the homeowners
sounds like
leave,
a father from the 1960s when their child comes home.
Yeah, he's just making
smoking that reefer.
Yeah, he's like, you've been hanging out, and he thinks it's so funny. But then I put this on, and in between songs, they're the kind of yap, and he's like, what did you? He's like, did you forget to pay for Spotify Premium this month? And I was like, no, man, it's just like part of the album. It comes on, So it's funny because I was like, no, it's just like artistic, just adding it in there. I like it. I like how I like when it breaks up the song. Sometimes going from one right into another. I mean, that's why we like the radio. We like going on and hearing kind of the stuff in between. So, I don't mind it. Right?
It helps tell the story, man. And I love the beginning of You Think I Ain't Worth a Dollar, but I Feel Like a Millionaire. Like the DJ is like, this new record, Songs for the Deaf, Queens of the Stone Age. Yeah. You can't even hear it.
Yeah.
Songs for the Deaf.
I do. I really appreciate the desert radio talk and because we love driving to Joshua Tree.
We've done that
right?
drive.
We've done that, yeah. And I wish we would have we could have listened to this more. But like when I hear songs like, this is a heavier sounding band, and you're not gonna get. I mean, there are some radio hits, which is ironic, but like in general, a lot of these songs it's too heavy for most radio stations.
Right.
But when I'm driving through the desert, I would imagine those radio DJs would play songs like this.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, where are you going to hear?
There's a long way in between things out there. So with that time and that space, you have the ability to get a little weird.
Yeah, it's no surprise that we love the desert. We love desert rock, or Jerry Cantrell's like country metal rock, and Queen's like perfect. Like, put them on in the desert. Yeah. Like this is what I want.
Dude, when I think of the desert, like I think of like stoner rock, I think of driving, and I think of aliens. Like, and like I feel like whether explicitly or implicitly, like all of those things are present on this record, and it's just really perfect. And it's kind of like, what if we took that idea of like having a lot of time and space out there, both in terms of like, there's nobody around and there's nothing around. And like, you can't even get a radio frequency sometimes out there. And just kind of like taking that ethos and trying to translate it onto a record. I think it's a really, really cool thing that they did. And, it kind of harkens back to some of the themes that you even saw on like a Kyuss record, like Welcome to Sky Valley, which was born out of that same atmosphere. So it's always cool when a musician kind of has a fascination with a certain geographic place, and they keep kind of returning to those themes and writing on them. And, Josh is Josh is a desert guy, and I'm glad that he is, because I am too. And
Oh yeah,
it's deepened my admiration for the desert, listening to stuff like this. And there's something about that stoner rock genre that just goes so well with just clicking the miles out on on a road where you don't pass by anything or anybody because nobody else is out there. So I'm into it. I'm definitely into it. And the
you
people
sneak in the heavy stuff,
Oh yeah, and the people at large seem to be into this too. This was their to date. This was their highest charting record. It peaked at number 17 on the Billboard 200 and received really, really solid critical acclaim. And obviously, it had that commercial access to, climbing up to, as I said, to 17. But Ethan, anytime we can shit on Pitchfork, I want to do it. The assholes at Pitchfork gave this record a 7.9.
Yeah, you said that. I think that's a pretty good review from them.
For
7.9 out of 10. Like, so that's actually pretty. That's a good rate.
Pitchfork is like that 200 level chemistry course in college that you take that is like a weed out class where it's like some people think they want to be like a chem major or something like that, and it's like, well, we're gonna give you a hard class, and the median grade is gonna be like a 72, and there's no curve. So like if you get a C, it's good. Like Pitchfork, they're just too elitist for me. Like 7.9. Like, oh, you could give it an 8. It's okay. Nobody's gonna get mad. And like they were complimentary of the record, but there were just different
points. A good review.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't the worst Pitchfork record, but they closed the review down and said, when these guys are on, it's truly the wrath of the righteous. However, Songs for the Deaf vacillates constantly between soaring heights and mind-numbing lows, making for a true hit-or-miss affair. But even if they can't have it all, these guys do offer as real a showcase of metal-tinged panache and stellar songwriting as anyone might hope for from a band labeled stoner rock. Besides, if the entire album was as strong as the first 3 tracks, it'd probably burn you alive. As it stands, Queens of the Stone Age settle for attempted murder, and that ain't bad at all.
Yeah, between all the fluff and shit, they have. I like that finishing line that they settled for attempted murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so this comes out in 2000. I feel like rock.
2002. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. In the 2000s, what I meant to say. And rock and roll, like, obviously it's coming off the 90s and it's pretty hot right now. And like, yeah, this like did really well in a lot of areas. I think it was received really well. Now granted, I was 8.
Well,
I was 8. You were you were 6.
Yeah.
So like
I wasn't exactly cruising the desert.
Yeah, I wasn't putting them on the charts, but I can totally understand why it was doing really, really well. I mean, I think the turn of the century, there's like a lot of good music is still coming out, and music is changing, but like, the rock scene is really good. And
well, you think of the stuff that this was competing with on the charts. This is a couple of years later, but like in 2004, I mean, like you had Green Day, you had the Strokes, you had the Killers, you had Franz Ferdinand. And then you have Queens of the Stone Age doing their thing, and like that's what I like. I mean, this band has spanned, in '98 when the self-titled record kind of hit the world. Nu metal was the thing, and then like you had kind of like that weird in between where it's like post grunge as well, but then like whatever you want to call like the Killers and the Strokes type stuff, but like all through it's like a good pocket watch, man. The Queens of the Stone Age, they've just been ticking constantly ever since, and they're not impacted by anything else that's going on. They're not going to shift what their focus is or what their goals are, because they're such great musicians and they have such a feel for their strengths and what they want to do, that they're just immune to any sort of outside influence, and they just make the music they want to make. And Josh Homme's been doing that his whole career, and that's really admirable.
Yeah, exactly. They carried the torch of like 90s rock and roll and bringing in the like even like 80s and just like all of the like the heavy stuff that people really enjoy through that time of change. Because I think there's everybody was trying different things in music in the 2000s, and I think that's something like the electronic was obviously taken off in the end of the 90s, and people were just like trying different stuff. But then you had the Queens and obviously like Foo Fighters and different bands that were just kind of like tried and true. Like you're getting good rock and roll. You want to see a rock show, you can trust it, and like, and that's why it's awesome that there's still, that Josh is still ripping and still playing, and like, it just feels like you can count on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he like Josh is definitely he's grown in our realm and stuff, and he's he's a badass character,
dude.
Right?
He's a badass motherfucker.
It's like when he's up there, like he's gonna be like the pillar, and he's just
Yeah.
he's gonna bring it home. And I've seen, he played at the tribute show, so
Yes.
I have seen him live, but I can only imagine when it's his show and when it's his
Yeah.
his domain. It just, you just have a presence on stage, and it's I love when bands have that, and it's not like kind of a fake presence. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, like,
Yeah. They have such an
Josh is here.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh yeah, they have such an unbelievably committed base of fans too. Like I think their fans kind of fall into that cult following category where, like, I think most people that are fans of Queen of the Stone Age, like, come hell or high water, if they're coming to their city, like, they're going to be there. I mean, even like they come to Boston, like they'll play 2 or 3 nights in Boston and sell out every single show that they have. And there's people similar to Pearl Jam where it's like, what number show is this? And it's not uncommon to hear, oh, this is my 30th Queen show. This is my 50th Queen show. And the cool thing is, like, it spans so many different eras, but kind of getting into the music on this record, on Songs for the Deaf, like, this was such a great record. And I think it starts with the 3-headed vocal monster that's featured throughout this record. You obviously have Josh Homme, and then you have Nick Oliveri, who would sing, and then Mark Lanigan, who would sing. And it's not like that anymore with Queens of the Stone Age. I mean, nowadays Josh does damn near, all of the vocals, just because Nick's obviously not in the band anymore, and Mark isn't around. But it just adds so much texture. And I have a lot of appreciation for Josh's vocals in particular. That dude can carry a tune with his voice. And it's funny because you think about him as the guitarist and the architect behind it, but, like, similar to the way that Chris Cornell's voice kind of overshadows his guitar playing ability, I think Josh's songwriting ability and his guitar playing sometimes overshadows the quality of his voice. And when you juxtapose that with Nick Oliveri just screaming when he sings, and it's just so intense, and Mark's gravelly, unbelievably good voice, just like all of those different textures, when you place them side by side on this album, as I said, it kind of elevates it, and it creates such a cohesive picture. And it really is one of those things where there's something for everybody on this album and in this band.
Yeah. So going back to that Pitchfork review for a second.
Yeah.
Just because, it did say, like, if the rest of the album was like the first 3 songs.
Yeah.
Does that mean, obviously, the very first, like, intro song, the real Song for the Deaf, is like,
yeah, kind of like that hidden thing at the beginning.
But so this knucklehead stopped. He said the first 3, the 4th song is a song for the dead. How do you even make the claim that 3 songs? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, because he was
so
talking
right there.
about,
you could throw that. I mean, there's a hole right there, because
he was thinking,
what the hell are we doing here?
No one knows, and First to Give It.
Right,
and
great 3 songs, but the 4th song needs to be included.
Song for the Dead, like, Ethan, yeah. I think Song for the Dead is it might be the coolest song ever created. Like, it might be, honestly.
We need to go back, and I guess we had a cutoff of 2000 for our top 500 songs, didn't we?
Yeah, the top 100.
Okay, good. Or top 100, not 500. Yeah, but I don't know
for the 500th episode.
Yeah, it didn't it wasn't on our list because I think we had a cutoff of 2000. But
yeah,
I agree, man. This song, so you put it up there as one of the best.
I think it absolutely is, Ethan. I have sat down.
Sometimes I mean, sometimes you have the feeling, and it just this is one of the best songs. So
dude, I've sat down on my couch and burned 2 hours in a row just watching different performances of this song from 2002 to the present. And they close their shows with this now. And it was funny. The first Queens of the Stone Age show I ever went to was in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I ended up running into Eric Lederman, and Eric obviously knows all of these guys, so he watched the show from the side of the stage, but he knew that, like, I was in the pit, and he came down to the pit for, like, the last, like, 5 or 6 songs to stand with me, and, like, dude, he was standing behind me for, like, Song for the Dead, and, like, he was, like, drumming on my back the whole time.
Yeah, if I had this experience, I would obviously think
so cool.
The same thing.
And, like, afterwards, he's like, I've seen them play that song, like, more times than I can count, and he was like, it never gets old. Yeah. And it truly never gets old. And, like, no matter who's playing drums, like, whether it was Grohl or whether it was Joey Castillo, it doesn't matter. Or even if it's John Theodore these days, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter whether it was Lanigan singing or whether it's Josh singing it nowadays. you know, and you know, Troy's obviously has a prominent role in the band now. Like, it is one of the coolest songs. My favorite thing too, like, this is a frequent play at my gym, like whenever it's a heavy day, and most of the days are heavy days, and you know, Song for the Dead is always in the queue, and it's just cool for me as such a big Lanigan fan because he's the vocalist on the record for this song as well, and you know, as I said, I'm very complimentary of Josh, but there's nothing like Lanigan singing this song.
Yeah.
Even
So
same
when
thing with
I
Hanging Tree too, or God is in
yeah
the Radio. Like, I mean,
yeah
his Mark's vocals, and you could say the same thing too about you know, Nick Oliveri's vocals on, you know, You Think I Ain't Worth a Dollar, but I Feel Like a Millionaire, or Six Shooter, or Gonna Leave You, or Another Love Song, which were his vocal contributions. Like, as I said, you know, when these guys are in it, it's just different with them.
yeah. I think listening to the album, when Mark's voice cut, because his voice always cuts through, and you can tell
Yeah,
when Mark's singing. And so this song, like, you know, going back to Song for the Dead, uh, it it has, I mean, it has, like, you know, and it has Mark's, you know, Mark's uh scent all over it, and
yeah.
it elevates it totally. Like, it has a Screaming Tree sound, and like the, you know, it's such a jam, and it's a pleasure that he is, um you know, very prominently featured in it. And yeah, it's a shame that, you know, won't be able to hear it again with him, but I'm sure that, you know, they're gonna rip it no matter what. Like you said, anybody that they're gonna keep doing it. So but it is a special treat when Mark comes through on these songs.
Oh
And
yeah, and
like
just
you said,
kind of like,
even Nick too.
yeah, the whole record, man. Obviously, knowing that the Grohl plays most of these songs, and evidently the way that they laid Dave's drum tracks down, they put him in like an isolation booth to kind of keep everything tight and punchy, so that there's not a whole lot of reverberation, and like that's the one word that I would use to describe it. Like, Dave's drumming is so tight on this record, and it's just so perfect. And you juxtapose that with when he would play these songs live, obviously, because he kind of opens it up a little bit. But when you have you know, such an ambitious project musically, like, everybody has to be so tight. And you know, I think of Josh's riffs on this, and the way that he wrote these songs, and even Nick Oliveri on the bass is just unbelievable. And he was such a just off the wall person, which ultimately led to some contributing factors to him being dismissed from this band. But you know, you can kind of walk that line, as we've been talking about the past couple of weeks, and just kind of try to capture these, you know, these periods of lightning in a bottle. You know, they were able to do it, and you know, all up and down this record, I mean, Dave's drumming is so good, and you know, just the melodies of some of these songs, like even talking about No One Knows, or Hanging Tree, or Go with the Flow. I mean, they're just they're so tight, and they're so groovy too. You know, you think for a stoner
Mhm.
rock band that it's just noise and it's just distortion, and you're just like playing as loud as you can. Like, they're playing with such intent, and they know when to bring it down and keep it tight, and they know when to open it up. And there's so much groove on these songs.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, there is a lot of great, and I really like First It Giveth. Like,
Yeah,
talking about,
I was just gonna talk about that
yeah,
one.
because I
Yeah,
don't think he said it in that run there, but like, talk about, I mean, really good, you know, rhythm and good flow to just the chorus. And like, I mean, it's a hit, right? I mean,
yeah.
it's such a awesome song. I love when the kind of the
The
chorus,
guitars sound like a motor.
yeah, and I love when the chorus, like the vocals, it just like, I don't even know how to describe it. Just kind of like, it's just kind of punching, like it's just kind of like continuously
Hmm.
punching the chorus
Yeah.
in like a higher register and stuff.
And like a song like First It Giveth, like, this is like the Queens of the Stone Age blueprint right here. Like,
Right.
this is their wheelhouse. And there's just so much diversity, and this is one of those records and one of those bands that, you know, you can listen to a track 10 times. You can pick out a different thing each of those 10 times that you key in on, and appreciate, and just kind of sit there in awe of.
Yeah. And so before, you know, before the episode, we said that we weren't going to try to get into every song individually because we definitely could, and that would it would we'd be here for
Once
a
again,
long
you were
time.
8.
Yeah. Yeah, once again we were, yeah, exactly. So it, you know, we're gonna, you know, we popcorned around a little bit, but ultimately, like, you know, I put this on and I'm just like, yeah, every song kind of gives you something. There's only a few songs that, you know, that you may want to like skip, if any. Um, and that's just because you want to get to the other songs, not because it can't hold its own.
Yeah.
And I love. I love the title God is in the radio.
Oh yeah.
Right. And it is a really, really solid track. And just something like, I mean, I just picture exactly that quote that you said, um, where he's referencing like listening to the radio stations and hearing it click to a random, evangelical like preacher. Because that happens all the time. Like, they have radio waves. So like it always happens where it pops up. And when you're driving, like I was thinking like in the desert or driving in like just open area. I mean, it's a lot of thought and a lot of stuff. And like if you're the only thing you're getting is like radio waves and like, who knows? Maybe you're tripping in the desert and you're getting signs from different things. Like it just seems
We've
like
all been there.
Yeah, it just seems like a very I don't know, an experience, a collective experience. We all like God is in the radio. It just for some reason like it makes sense to me. You know what I mean?
And I love the intro of this song too, because like you have like that lone piano key that they just keep pressing, and then you have like those really fuzzy guitars coming in, and then Mark's taking the verses, and then Josh is singing the chorus. And I love the chorus on this one. The you come back another day and do no wrong. You come back another day and do no wrong, just over and over again. And I think
this is that churning like
there's like they utilize that kind of repetition to get in your head, and it's one of those things where like you can get in your head about a lot of things when you're on the road and when you're out there, and certainly if you might be tripping on something or smoking the reefer or something, or maybe doing something else. They kind of like, it's such a perfect project because like every element about that time and place, like it exists on here, and like I kind of love that repetitive nature where like they just kind of bang it into you over time, and it's just like over and over and over again. And then
that's definitely when I think of like the stoner rock genre, like it's like this trance like guitar drive that just all of a sudden pulls you in, and for me like and then they start playing the guitar solos over top, and you just like, this is like kind of the purest form of it, like when it's like because there's like room to breathe and it feels like just like a train. And I'm just like, I don't want to stop, dude. I want 20 minutes of just like put me in a trance and like let's get to our destination.
A lot of these songs are pretty hypnotic.
Hypnotic.
You kind of get into a trance, but like I love that like they don't commit to doing that for the whole record, because like you have a record like this, and you have a song like Gauze on the Radio or Mosquito Song or Song for the Deaf, which kind of like lull you a little bit, and then like the seventh song, for example, Six Shooter, which is just Nick Oliveri screaming. And I love that how they kind of play around with the length of the tracks to kind of, the short songs are really heavy and in your face. And then, when they give themselves a little bit more rope, they kind of, get things out a little bit. Even a song like Hanging Trees, even though it's shorter, it's kind of hypnotic again. But like Six Shooter, dude, like the second verse.
This is the one.
Dude, this is the one. The second verse. Fuck this road. Yeah, fuck you too. I'll fucking kill your best friend. What you fucking gonna do? Here I come. And it's just like Nick Oliveri, like I don't think the man has ever put on a shirt in his life, and he's just fucking flying around the stage screaming, playing his bass, like head banging. It's just it's so perfect. Like there's also an element of chaos that I think and a lack of control that exists out there in the desert when you're out there all alone. Like I always thought about that, like when we road trip from LA to Joshua Tree, like you get out in the desert, man, like it's some hard living out there, and you realize like, in our day-to-day lives, like we're in control of just about everything that we do, and it's so easy to seek out comfort and easy to have absolute agency over everything that you do, but also everything that happens to you. But when you're out there, man, like even something as simple of like if your car breaks down, or like if you run out of water or something,
you could
like
die.
Like it's it's fucking scary.
You could die if your car breaks down. Like that's a life or death situation.
Well,
all of a sudden,
I was thinking about, like, and you don't think
there's
about
no
that.
signal. Like
no, you don't think about that in day-to-day life, like living in a city or a suburb. If you're in the burbs, like you don't think about how easy it is to die, and like so when you're out
people
there, man,
forget how easy it is
and like
to
some
die,
of these
dude.
songs, like you're listening to them, it's like wow, like I'm not in control, and you kind of establish a routine with this record, and as soon as you think you have the routine down, or like you kind of know what's going to come next on this album, they just completely flip the script on you, and it just kind of reiterates like how little control you really do have over things, and I love that presence of that concept, at least that's something that I gather from this, because I remember I was sitting in the car with you and Steve, and it was just like, man, like it's hard living out here.
Yeah, man. And then you know you're on a
I got a
road
lot of
for
respect for people that do it.
you're on a road for 50 miles and there's a random like stop because they're doing construction and you're sitting there for a while and you're like, is this a trap? Am I about
Yeah.
to be like, is this a heist? You know?
Yeah, yeah. Like what's
Like
the?
anything is alarming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I love that
yeah,
run
I
on this
love
record from Six Shooter to Hanging Tree to Go with the Flow.
yeah.
Um,
Six Shooter's not my favorite, right?
yeah,
I mean,
you got to be in the right mood to listen to
I'll
Six
say, yeah,
Shooter.
this is the one where it's like, all right, you know, maybe
Yeah.
I'll see, but it's only a minute. Like it's
This
only like
isn't one that
a
you
minute and
put
a half or
on
something.
like when you and the fellas are having a group hang, like shooting some pool and playing,
Well,
you
it's
know.
funny because I said I listened to this with my boss, and the song came on, and like 30 seconds, like he's like, all right, what is this? What are we doing? And I was
Yeah.
like, it's part of the album. I don't know, we got to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I do want to jump to the final song, Mosquito
Mosquito
Song.
song. Yeah.
And so I believe that this is a hidden track originally, right? Or this is like an add-on, or I believe.
Your guess is
And
as good as mine. Once again, this was why we're not going song by song.
yeah, I believe I read that.
I'm still in my
Which like this,
undergraduate courses for Queens of the Stone Age.
and so they finished this record with this kind of like ballad, a lot of piano, a lot of like, uh, just I mean softer sounding, melodies and kind of like orchestral. I mean, it's like almost like a concert band, drum concert snare that is towards it. And like I said, the whole thing is just very different. And he's, we got the like hanging, I think it's Lanigan vocals over top. And I just really like it. I don't know. I don't know if it's because of just a reprise from everything that was going on or what it was, but like it's like spooky and also like it's like a score.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, and I love it. I love when any song with mosquito in the title,
Yeah.
like
Well, a
is
couple
gonna be
things about
good.
this one too. Like if you think about what the goal of this was, like a drive from Los Angeles to Joshua Tree, like
Yeah,
this is the song that's playing when you leave 29 Palms and you're pulling into Joshua Tree at the end of it. And something else that I really love about this is the chorus is where will you run, where will you hide, lullabies to paralyze. And you have to imagine that they loved that lyric so much, and they ended up titling their next studio album in '05. They titled that next record "Lullabies to Paralyze."
mhm.
And obviously, I don't know that there was an intent where it's like, hey, like this is going to be the title of the second record. Like, I wonder, or the next record. I wonder where that decision came from. But it's always cool, when somebody, the Counting Crows would do this sometimes, where they would include like a, the title of the next album on a song, or have the album title track on the preceding album. And I just kind of love those through lines that get included as you kind of build out your universe. But yeah, Mosquito Song is it's just cool that this is on the same record as a Song for the Dead, or Hanging Tree, or even Six Shooter, as we like to talk about, or First to Giveth. It's just once again, like, this is so much more complex, and it's so much deeper than just a stoner rock album. And you can see the
Yeah,
progression with Josh Homme too, because Caius, like, that was stoner rock. Like, that's just like track through track through track, like it's what you would expect from stoner rock. And with this one, they're covering every single piece of
yeah,
ground that they want to.
yeah. And it comes back to the players involved. I mean, like you said, you got
Oh yeah.
Dave Grohl, Josh Homme, Lanigan, Oliveri. Like, I mean, it's a star-studded crew when you're bringing in everybody to do the parts. So, you get like this. It's really polished. It's really good. Good rock and roll, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
a lot of fun. A lot of fun to get into it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to go to a show. Right. I
Yeah,
mean,
dude, we should go.
especially with Lederman
Yeah, we
playing
gotta
drums
hit
on
up
my shoulder, dude.
Yeah,
I'd
we gotta hit up Lederman and go to a Queen show. And yeah, that'll be a really, really good time. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I think like my golden era for Queens of the Stone Age would certainly be Rated R,
We'd
and
start
then
with this. Yeah.
and then this one. Yeah, I mean, their self-title's great. I mean, a lot of like Clockwork from 2013 is a hell of a record too. Era Vulgaris is great, and I really, really love their In Times New Roman, their most recent studio album, which came out in 2023. And both of the shows that I saw were a part of the extended In Times New Roman tour. And these guys still have their fastball, without a doubt. But a lot of these themes kind of come back and back. And as long as Josh is at the center of it all, like, you can expect some really great music from this band, and you can expect an absolutely professional show. These
Mhm.
guys are just unbelievable, and as I said, I think they're one of the best live acts that you can see, and that's been true for the last 26 years, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, ultimately, this is kind of one of the beginning albums, obviously second studio album, and they have,
there's a third, yeah.
Yeah, they have more. So you get to see I mean, they've been a band for over 25 years. So
yeah.
you get to kind of get in and like see the transformation of how they move and stuff. And it's, that's always fun.
And as somebody who did put off getting into Queens of the Stone Age, because, since we've been running the page for over 10 years and people are always talking about Queens of the Stone Age. And, I had some friends that were into the band and they're like, dude, like you gotta dive in. Like I put it off for a while just because there's so much there. And I knew that the universe was vast. Like, I think if this episode that we're releasing right now can, have one message, it's that if you've been putting it off, or if you haven't, committed a week or a couple of weeks of your time to getting into their catalog, like I think now's the time to do it. It's really interesting. And if you like any of the stuff from the 90s that we talk about, you're gonna love this stuff,
right.
as you probably already do at least a few of the songs. And you have the Grohl connection, you have the Lanigan connection from like the grunge proper scene, so you might as well get into it and stop wasting time.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think that wraps up another album review.
I think so,
hammer
man.
them away.
Yeah, and, songs for the deaf. You can't even hear it.
Yep, songs for the deaf. You can't even hear it. Yeah, so thank you everybody for coming along and listening. And some of you have been waiting for the Queens episode, and some of you were like us a couple years ago, where it's like, all right, who is this? So
I have one final thing to say, and we're gonna tie it back to one of the coolest songs of all time, Song for the Dead. Lyrics that I've absolutely fixated on forever. It's late enough to go driving and see what's mine. Life's the study of dying, how to do it right. Oh man, that's so fucking good.
That is good.
Yeah.
That is very good. It comes up a lot in thinking about
the
ends.
Dude, you're a holy roller if you're betting to lose. If you're hanging around, I'm holding the noose.
Yeah.
Dude, Lanigan, man. Vocals.
For the Dead.
Can't beat it.
Yeah. I'm going to be ripping this later today, and I'm sure have a newfound liking. It's just going to grow from here. Because now we put our thoughts out there, Yeah, man. It's always good to talk it out. And then all of a sudden, you realize, like, okay, I do. This is, you got to put it out in the airwaves. So,
well, it's so funny because we
have those conversations, guys.
Yeah. And we were talking midweek, and like, selfishly, reviewing albums is such a fun project for us because we did Siamese Dream last week, and we were on the phone midweek, and you're like, yeah, like I was looking for something to listen to, and I was suggested Siamese Dream because it was on my Spotify homepage because I've been listening to it a lot, and you told me that you were listening through it, and you're like, man, like I wish I had this thought that I could have included on the podcast episode, and I'm sure the same thing's going to happen with this Queens record, because it always lingers for a few days after we put the episode out, and it's like, man, like I didn't think about it that way, or I wish I talked about this because it's a really cool thing that I just noticed. And totally. With any sort of album, that conversation never ends, and that's why you think a record, and time passes and you listen to it again, and you hear it a different way, or you learn something different from it, or you notice something differently, and that's what keeps us coming back, and I'm sure that's what keeps you coming back. So thanks for coming back.
Thank you everybody so much. Cheers to Drew McFadden, our producer.
Absolutely.
My song for Song of the Week would I think it's going to be Hanging Tree. So
nice.
Put that on there because it's awesome.
Good stuff, man.
Got to throw that in there. Yeah,
absolutely.
One too, Chris. I mean, listen to the album, right? I mean, sometimes it feels like we just did a whole Songs of the Week for you. Songs for the Dead, Songs for the Deaf, Songs of the Week.
Can't even hear him. That's good stuff. I'm gonna enter a Song of the Week into record. I saw the Wonder Years on Wednesday night in Boston, and for the Philly shows that I'm going to, the supporting acts are changing a little bit. So when I saw them, it was the Wonder Years with Knuckle Puck, and then a band from Maine called Weekend Friends. I'd never heard of them before, and I caught like the last like 4 or 5 songs of their set, and like I really, really dig them so much so that I purchased a shirt, which I am wearing on camera right now. If you're listening on YouTube, if you see a band that you don't know anything about, and then you like them, like you always got to buy the merch, because usually they're on the road and their margins aren't as fat as the headliners, obviously. But I'm gonna pick a song of theirs called Blue Again, which was off their first record. They're a really cool 3-piece band from Maine, and I've been listening to them so much lately. On their recent record, they did a really cool cover of Torn, which was an Edna Swap song, which was very popularized by Natalie and Bruglia, but their cover is really, really cool, really cool. So I think that's a good band that we got to check out. So I'll happily shout them out here.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody again. We will be back. We will be back same time, same place next week for another.
That is a threat and a promise.
That's right. And but yeah, the threat is out though. We need you guys to be there too. So.
Absolutely. All right.